Are you a new investor looking for different properties to buy? Today's video is for you. Keep watching. So the first tip is to mind your mindset. And so what I mean by that is anytime that you are trying to buy a rental property, this is not something that actually happens overnight. So you have to have consistency, you have to have dedication, you have to have determination, most importantly. So when you're looking for real estate, you want to have your mindset in order. So what I would suggest is to get different books. For example, David Schwartz has a good one, The Magic of Thinking Big. Wallace Wattles, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. These are books that I read when I first started. And to me, these are the type of books that kind of basically helped me with my mindset, because at some point in time I got discouraged when I first started because I would put my net out there and I felt like nothing was coming. But I quickly learned that it's something that is not going to happen overnight, Rhonda. It's just not going to happen. Anything good doesn't happen overnight. You have to work towards it. So I want to put that out to you, that first you want to have a good mindset. Read any book that you can to help you with that. Listen to any meditation tapes. Listen to any books on tape, or actually books on audio now, to help you with that. Look at inspirational things. Speak with other investors. When you speak with other investors, they'll tell you that they'll be glad to tell you how they got their start. Most people are glad to tell you how they got their start. So you want to speak with other investors. Anything that you can to help you. Even practice yoga. Whatever you think that you need to do in order to get your mindset in order, do that. The second tip is to write down your goals. Have a commitment. Determine when your goal date is. Determine when you want to have your property purchased by. For example, you may say, I want to have my first purchase within 2 months, or by the end of June or November, or whatever it is that you determine. You want to write down when you want to have your goal met by. You want to be realistic with this goal. You don't want to have your goal, I'm going to start tomorrow. By tomorrow, I'm going to have my first rental property. It doesn't work like that. You want to give yourself time, and you want to be realistic whenever you set this in. First goal is going to be your end date. The second goal that you're going to have on this paper is how long that you're going to put forth an effort every day or every week or every month in order to give yourself time to meet this goal. For example, you may say, once a day for an hour, I'm going to dedicate time to actually looking for rental property. So you may also, for example, say 2 times a week or 3 times a week. What if you know that you go to bed at 10 o'clock? You don't want to say, well, at 8 o'clock, or excuse me, at 9:30, I'm going to start looking at rental properties. I'm going to start my search for rental properties. No, that's not how that works. Set aside a certain amount of time each day, each week, or each month that you decide that you can do, and stick to it. The next tip is to determine your property type. Do you want a duplex? Do you want a single family house? Do you want an apartment? Do you want a 3-bedroom? Do you want a 2-bedroom? Do you want a 3-2? What type of properties do you want in terms of your investment properties? How much do you want to have a minimum of in terms of rent? Do you want a minimum of $650? Do you want a minimum of $800? Determine whatever your minimums are and determine the property types so that you can narrow down your search. The next thing that you want to do is to get your finances in order. Do you have cash? Do you have good credit? Do you have any lines of credit? So most of the times people feel like, oh, I don't have enough money saved. I can't do this. I'll never be able to get a property. But that's simply not true. Once you start determining different ways to come up with money or to have access to money, those ideas will just start turning in your head. So for example, you may have an existing home that you've owned for several years. You may have some lines of credit that's in your home. You can take out a home equity. I'm not suggesting that you do that. That may not be something that you do. I'm just giving you an idea so that you'll know that, hey, there's some untapped money that you may not even be thinking about that you actually may have. So come up with different ways. If you're going to go the bank route, typically they will only loan you up to 80%. And you have to come up with the additional 20%. So know that if you're going to a bank, if you decide to do that, which that's how I started getting properties, to me, you want to have leverage. And so the best way to get leverage is to use other people's money so that you can buy multiple ones. If you try and save up $20,000, depending on how much you make, it may take you forever to do that. However, if you work on your credit and go ahead and get your credit in order, or if you get a home equity line of credit, for example, or have some access to cash, or somebody allows you to borrow it, or you use your credit cards. Once you buy one, and if that one has property equity in it, then you can use that particular property to buy more property without actually having to tap into your own pockets. So you want to use leverage as often as possible, and using leverage is actually using other people's money. So I don't ever use any of my money whenever I'm trying to buy properties. I use now the equity that I have in my properties to buy more property. For example, if you buy a property for $35,000 and it appraises for $65,000, then you have $30,000 of equity in that particular property. That $30,000 can be used as a down payment for the other types of properties that you're buying. So having equity in properties is something that you should always seek to find. It doesn't mean that you turn down any other properties that don't have equity, but the key here is to try and find properties that you can buy that has equity in it. Start your search. These are all places that have access to different types of properties that are available. And what I would do when I first started, and I still do this now, is that whenever I go onto a website, I always register for the website so that I can receive notifications. And so the notifications that come through, you put in the types of properties that you're interested in, whether it's a single family, whether it's a duplex, whether it's an apartment. You put in the different types of properties that you want, and they will send you notifications. So every day I get notifications saying this is for sale, this particular property is for sale. It also gives me access to market trends and insights. So for example, I know right now, this is 2024, and right now I see that the properties prices are dropping. So I get notifications pretty much every day saying price drop, price drop, price drop. So whenever I get ready to do my flips, then I'm aware that prices are going to drop. So be mindful of that. Do I want to flip now, or do I want to flip later? Do I just want to buy and hold, meaning I want to have this as a rental property, or what do I want to do with this property? So you want to be in the know with that. The MLS is what the realtors use in order to put properties up for sale. I think I have bought a couple of properties off of the MLS, but most of my properties come from off-market deals. And so I found those off-market deals by bandit signs or yard signs. Before you put those out, you want to make sure that you check with your local ordinances to make sure that you can actually put them out. When I first started, I also went straight down the list at the tax collector's office. So you want to make a visit to your tax collector's office or tax assessor's office online, and it has access to every particular property that is owned by anyone. And I mailed them a letter, or I called them and asked them if they wanted to sell their property. And so you want to focus on people who are absentee owners. Absentee owners are people who actually live out of town, or they may actually not live in the property. So for example, if you see a particular property that says Sally Shoemaker, for example, she lives in Alabama, but she has a property located in, I live in the state of Louisiana, but she has a property located here in Louisiana. So I know that she's an absentee owner. She may not want to actually own that property anymore because she lives out of state. So because she lives out of state, that's an opportunity for me to possibly buy a property. I mail them a letter, or I look their information up and give them a call to see if they're interested in selling their house. So that's another way to find off-market deals. You want to also Use online platforms. For example, you may decide that you want to go to join real estate investor groups. So you may decide that you want to get on Facebook. You may get on TikTok. You may get on Instagram. And you want to find these real estate investor groups in your area. You want to start in your local area first before you venture into other areas. The more you learn your local real estate market, the better your chances are outside of that market and the more experienced you will be. These investor groups will have different opportunities for you to find properties. Some investors will actually unload their own properties, and you want to be there when all of this happens. Get a friend in a wholesaler. Property wholesalers exist, and property wholesalers basically are bird dogs that find different types of properties for investors or potential investors or experienced investors. So what they do is they go out and find the properties for you, and they bring the property. So for example, they may find a property that's available for $25,000. They may sell it to you for $28,000, and they collect that $3,000 fee. The next tip is to get a CRM or a customer relationship management system set up. I personally use Google Streak, and Google Streak integrates with my Gmail, and it's just a lot simpler for me to use. It allows me to keep track with the different sellers, how many sellers I've contacted for the day, which sellers, what address, what is their mailing address, what's their phone number. Google Streak to me is a great system that integrates with your Gmail, and that's what I use for my CRM. There's plenty of different CRMs that's out there, so feel free to look at the different CRMs that's available. Google Streak has a 14-day trial period, and it just is very simple and very easy to learn. Next, keep a spreadsheet. I created a spreadsheet that's available on my website, housefliptoolkit.com. It's a free download that you can actually use to keep track of how many people you contacted for the day, how many letters you sent out, how many emails, how many phone calls you did. And so the more contact that you make with potential sellers, the more opportunities that will come your way in order to be able to find a property for you to purchase. So hopefully these tips will help you and lead you along the way on your journey of real estate investing. I hope that it helps. Feel free to drop a comment with any type of topic ideas that you would like to hear. Visit my website at housefliptoolkit.com. Talk to you soon. Thanks.